When the zombie invasion starts and the internet goes away, Paul will still have a SharePoint site for his family.
That's right.
That's true. That's true. And then I'll get my kids to cycle on bikes to generate the power. Spin it out.
We are live with the community. This is the Microsoft 365 Power Platform Development bi-weekly call. Today is May 22nd, our last development call of the week together, or of the month together, everybody. So excited for this. We got a lot of exciting things in store. My name is David Warner, the Quizzitive. I'll be your humble host for today. And let's take a look at what we're going to see and talk about. We're going to have the latest updates on the community, things like Copilot prompts of the week and PNP.NET libraries, PowerShell, the latest on script samples. We're going to talk about a fun update, exciting for Copilot Camp, and then the latest on Power Platform samples with Kate. And of course, everybody's favorite time. What is that? It is picture time. So maybe you take those cameras a little early today when you start seeing some of those sample slides so we can ensure everybody has an opportunity. And after that, we're going to have three amazing presenters of the day. Michael's going to be here from the SharePoint Hackathon talking about from papers to practice, how SharePoint agents help extract AI knowledge. And then Karen is joining us again from the SharePoint Hackathon, awesome entries on the benefits agent. And Chris, Chris, list formatting tips and tricks. The horse master himself is here to wow us with amazing opportunities within the scope of list formatting. So we're excited for all three of those amazing presenters. But first, let's talk about some resources that are available for each and every one of you. Let's begin with our Microsoft Community Learning videos. This is our YouTube channel that has so much amazing content that we have to list it all every single day. New content every single day. And YouTube says, you know, you could get better metrics if you don't, but we say, nope, we're breaking the rules in all the right ways because we want to showcase the amazing work that you're doing that will help each and every one of us. So make sure you go like and subscribe all the amazing content. We've got our LinkedIn group for discussions. We've got our open source programs and initiatives. And of course, our sample galleries, which we'll talk about today. They span things like Teams and SPFX, Power Platform, list formatting. The list goes on and on and on. That's what I did there, the list. Okay, but you only need to remember one URL to get access to all of these things, and that is ak.ms/community/home. Maybe two. Community.ms is our fancy top-level domain that'll take you to that landing page as well. So just put that in your memory banks forever and ever, and we would love it. Now, there's also more community calls that you may enjoy since you're hopefully enjoying this one. Our weekly call is the Microsoft 365 Power Platform with Microsoft speakers. This is great because you get all those insights from the mothership, from those product managers and program managers, and it usually goes on a break for July and August, but not this year, everybody. We're doing a community takeover. We're going to be showcasing all of those powerful devs and all of those SharePoint Hackathon entries that had happened over the last couple of events. So we're excited to see all of those. And of course, we get our Power Platform monthly call, which happened yesterday. That's the third Wednesday of every month. Office add-ins, and then the two sibling bi-weekly calls. The one you're on now, Microsoft 365 and Power Platform Community, and of course, the Viva Connections and SharePoint Framework. You get access to all these calls at ak.ms/community/calls. Get those invites on your calendar. They're fantastic. I call them a crystal ball into what's now, what's new, what's next, because we can see how everyone else in the world is using the technology in ways we maybe never even thought possible. So join us, everybody. It's always a good time. In sneak preview for next Tuesday, it's actually going to be live hosted. Vesa and I will be in Germany on stage at ECS. We'll have our remote presenters, Sebastian, Sarah, and Richard Plant and Malika, to talk about a variety of cool, amazing Microsoft stuff. So be sure to tune in there and we will have some fun together. And if you're watching and you think, hey, I want to request to present on some of these calls because I got some fun stuff to show and we want you to. So don't overthink it. Absolutely welcome each and every single one of you to request to present on these calls. You don't have to show how time travel is possible. If you've created a script sample, or if you've created a Power Platform snippet, or a sample of any kind, or utility of any kind, show it off. If you find value in it, I promise you others will too. So let us know. If you need a buddy, we can buddy up with you. We absolutely want to make sure and empower you to do and share your passion with the community. And if you're watching also, when we talk about these samples, you think, I've created some stuff and I want to contribute to the community, but that Git of hubs, that hub of Gits is so confusing. Well, Sharing is Caring is here and has your back. There's a program started by myself and Hugo and Vesa around hands-on guidance in a safe space. So we've already got the next session scheduled for June 23rd. We just had one on Monday. It was a fantastic opportunity. These are live Teams calls where you're able to learn how to interact and navigate that GitHub confusing maze. We will show you live on the call. We won't record it, so you're free to ask any and all questions that you'd like. So be sure to get signed up. And if you just need a refresher, because GitHub is always changing, that's okay too. We welcome you back any and every single time. And guess what's cool about it? When you do join and you do the contribution, it is a contribution. And that means that you're going to get recognized for all that work and you're going to earn a badge. And so we've got these cool, fun badges, things like Prompt Pro and Snippet Sourcer, modern searches here. Casper's smiling at that. React controls, property controls, and the newest list formatting. And of course, it is still plenty of time for those lightsaber Star Wars themed badges for the rest of this month and all of next month. This is absolutely free, everybody. It is powered by Credly, which means that these badges are accredited and formal and official, and you can put them on your blog and LinkedIn profile and your resume. And by the way, it's been such an amazing initiative, so successful because of all of you. Credly is going to do a white paper on it to show how much success a community can have using these mechanisms. So thank you all. You've been amazing in support of this program. We can't wait to continue to bring you more fun and amazing badges. So all you got to do is opt in aka.ms/community/recognition. And speaking of badges, we got those Copilot Dev Camp badges that are available to you, and we're extending it for one more week. So definitely get involved if you haven't already. You still have time. You can go earn those badges. And we want to say thank you to the recent recipients of them. A whole bunch of names. We're trying to get in there before the clock struck midnight, but now you've got even more time. So take advantage of it. Again, absolutely free, but there are limited numbers and now limited time. So don't wait. Well, actually wait till after the call, but then go do it because we want to make sure you get all the amazing stuff on the rest of the call. Okay, so now what we're going to do is move into our project-specific updates, and we will start with our prompt library. So this is, again, one of those easy ways to contribute because we've all become sort of prompt engineers and learned how to have that love language Copilot and AI, how to tell it what we need from it and manipulate, use it for the betterment of our ingenuity. So we want to appreciate our prompt of the week, Gretchen here. Gretchen, great job. This is an agent that specializes in recommending specific rose varieties best suited for growing in USDA hardiness zone. So kind of cool how we're using it for providing support for our real world lives and betterment. So really love the use case here because it kind of shows it doesn't have to just be about business. So super, super cool. Really appreciate it. Great job, Gretchen. Love what you're doing there. Thank you so, so much. Okay, let's move over to PNP.NET libraries with Bert.
Yes, thank you, David. On the PNP side, it has been fairly quiet. We had one change at both CoreSDK and framework, and that's we switched to another system text JSON file. NuGet package. And the reason is because we merged a PR that will take away the graph NuGet package dependency from PNP framework, which prevented some folks from using PNP framework in PowerShell, for example. So with that, this will help, and less dependencies is always good. So, but that's it for us for this week. Let's move to PowerShell.
Awesome. Thank you, Bert. Got him. What do you got for us in the land of PowerShell?
Hey, David, thanks, David, thanks, Bert. In PNP PowerShell as well, since PNP framework depended on the Graph SDK, which was slightly older version, they removed that. And now what happens is that if you are using Graph PowerShell and PNP PowerShell in the same session, there won't be any DLL error. So quite a few people were mentioning that in GitHub issues that they ran into certain issues when running both of these modules in parallel in the same session. So that has been fixed. So that was a major issue. And besides that, there are some minor bug fixes and improvements that are going on. So yeah, that's pretty much from my end, David.
Awesome. Thank you. By the way, land of PowerShell sounds like a magical place, doesn't it? I think we should start creating that somewhere. People would love it. Yeah. Okay, let's move on to script samples with Paul Bullock.
I want to be in the land of PowerShell, but for the moment, you've got script samples as an alternative until that land is found. Script samples is a repository where you can share your PowerShell scripts or Bash scripts, Python scripts with the community. So, supporting tools like PNP PowerShell, SQL Management Shell, CLI FM365. There's really no limit. So if you've got a script that doesn't fit into these categories, reach out. I'll just configure the site accordingly. This week, we've got a few new samples. We've got a couple from myself actually. So creating and applying a Teams Toolkit decorative agent that has been renamed recently to Microsoft 365 Agents using the CLI. I've also got the ability to bulk deploy Teams Toolkit decorative agents as well to get, if you've got like 10 of them, then you can deploy all 10 of them in one hit. You've got new PNP PowerShell samples from Reshmi Aklu to configure SharePoint document sets, and then you've got some updates from Andrew Burns about his sample around deploying the Clarity application customizer for site collection. Super cool sample. So thank you very much for those contributions. You are in line for a badge. If you have registered, make sure that you have registered. And if you are thinking of submitting but not sure where to go, we've got some contribution guidance and a few tools on the site to help you. But if you're still stuck, feel free to reach out to myself, and I'm more than happy to guide you on getting your DMs, your pull requests submitted to the repo. But thank you very much for your contributions, and back to you, David.
Awesome, thank you, Paul. Yeah, in the land of PowerShell, we could put script samples on the beach and call it the shores of script samples. My goodness, we're building a whole new universe. Awesome, love it. All right, let's move over to Power Platform samples with Kate.
Hey, thank you very much, David. Yes. In the Power Platform samples, snippets, and prompts galleries, we have more than 200 amazing things. That's incredible, and thank you to everyone who contributed and made this happen. And today, I'm very happy to highlight 4 new snippets. We have the nice animated loading SVG crafted by Catherine, cool N-line HTML text truncation by Jan, beautiful piano for Power Apps Canvas app by Steve, and a Copilot Studio agent, which creates an out-of-office message and sets it up in your Outlook, made it by me and my beloved partner, Artyom. Thanks again, everyone, for your time and passion you put into your work and for sharing this with the community. And I encourage everybody to become a contributor. And if you are already a contributor, submit more, please. And in case of any questions, how to start, how to put what to include in the pull request, etc., don't hesitate to reach out to me, and I will be glad to support you. So let's grow together, and back to you, David.
Awesome. Thank you, Kate. I love that you called yourself out yesterday, everybody. She did, and she was so humble. She's like, I want to thank everybody but myself, but she deserves some credit too. So thank you, Kate. Awesome. All right, let's move into that time of the call, which is picture time. So get those cameras turned on if you haven't already. And I've got together mode here. I see Todd's already getting going, looking good. All right, so there's Yao, loving it. There's Kate. All right. Excellent. Seeing all of my favorite people here. Don't tell the people that aren't here that they're not my favorite. You're all my favorite. There's Hugo, who's also here. See what I did there? I love Hugo. There's Vesa sitting next to Todd. All right, just a couple more seconds, everybody. Let's set this up here. Plenty of time. We're doing good on time. I'll move this, move that, move this, and move that. Bing, boom, bop, boop. All right. Let's see what. Oh, high-fiving, and Todd just went across and tried to slap Vesa in the face. Wow, Todd, what are you doing? All right, let's give the countdown, everybody. 3, 2, 1. Let's wave to the community. Looking great to see you all again. Thank you all for being amazing. Love to see you here. Really appreciate all the passion that you bring each and every week. Wouldn't be able to have these events, these calls, all of these samples, and the amazing contributions without your passion and dedication. So thank you so much. Okay, let's move into our next part of the call, which is, of course, why we're all here, to see our amazing presenters of the day. We're going to start with Michael. He's here from the SharePoint Hackathon, and he's got From Papers to Practice, How SharePoint Agents Help Extract AI Knowledge. So Michael, feel free to take over the screen share. The floor is yours, my friend.
So I hope you can see my screen right now. Yeah,
yep, it's all loaded.
Perfect. So yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me to present here my SharePoint Hackathon. I'm very honored with that. I participated in the hackathon with a very simple entry, but let's see what happened. First, some information about me. My name is Michael Greth. I'm here from Berlin, Germany. Good afternoon, sunny day outside. And yeah, I'm a little bit longer in this in this IT area for almost 4 decades right now, working as a consultant, speaker, podcaster, workshop trainer, whatever. started with a Commodore 64 and now working with high-end artificial intelligence. I'm a podcaster. I podcasted for 20 years right now with the SharePoint podcast. It's one of the first podcasts ever in German. And a Microsoft MVP for 26 years. And you see here in my, here is it? SharePoint MVP was my second job. The first one was front page MVP. And now I'm MVP for Copilot. So always adapting to the technologies, what's interesting me, and helping the community and share my things. So my current podcast is a Your Copilot podcast. It's running for 1.5 years. And it's my mission to help people to understand what AI and Microsoft 365 can do for them and how they can use it productively. So that's my mission with that one. And and this is something where my contribution to the SharePoint Hackathon was partly. I'm not a programmer. I know something about programming, but I'm not a programmer. And so as the SharePoint Hackathon, as an old SharePoint I built up the whole SharePoint community for 21 years and said, okay, might be a good thing in connection with Microsoft 365 and the new SharePoint agent. It might be a good idea to share my experience with that one. And for me, it's always interesting to look under the hood and to know and understand how things are working. And when ChatGPT came online, end of 2022, I was really fascinating because this was the fulfillment of our dreams 30 or 40 years ago when we hacked on our C64, whatever. But on the other hand, it was also really scary, another topic to discuss. But I really wanted to know how it works. And maybe this is my metaphor picture here. I always like to pray. It's the old Volkswagen Käfer from Germany. So this small one are here. And when you look at this picture, see, oh, this guy has some problems with his car. And definitely it's a meme. It has two errors in there. First of all, the Volkswagen Käfer Beetle never was water cooled, it was air cooled, so the steam doesn't make sense. And when you open up the front page, you wouldn't find the engine because the engine was in the back. So, but if you open up it and you see, that's what's under the hood, and now I understand it. And so this is the metaphor for that. When I'm looking at this slide, Microsoft presenting the Microsoft Copilot, I said, oh, that looks great. How does it work? I really want to, we have a large language model. It must magic. And so I really want to learn more. And from the day one, when I worked with ChatGPT from 2012, I really wanted to know more about how are these models built? How are the trains? How are they working? What can I learn? And I found out that relatively easily you can follow scientific papers because the AI community is publishing, the science community is publishing papers, tons of papers each month or whatever. And so I started to look into the papers and let me see, maybe in this paper here, this is from the Euro LLM, a multilingual large language models for Europe. It's a special large language model focused on the 26 different languages in Europe. And this is a paper and they published it. And for me as a non-scientific person, when I read here the first pages, okay, I can see that. But when you dig deeper into this one, I have no idea what this means. Isn't there someone or somebody who's can explain it to me? And maybe it would be great. It would look that one that I get from this paper, maybe a Word document that said, okay, this is a problem. This was a research team. This is a topic that was discussed. This is a methodology, the key results, top findings, and so on. And up to a summary for my podcast that can use maybe with 11 Labs with a AI's voice or whatever. So this was the challenge, or is a challenge for me. And I started this with ChatGPT relatively as soon as ChatGPT was able to process PDFs. I downloaded these papers from archive, and then I created prompts and the GPT for me, which says, okay, this is a paper, but now I want a paper for me in my language, so that can I understand, define the goal, the problem, the methods, the findings, the highlights, limitations, and boom. And this works pretty well for me. I think over the last 2 years, I have maybe 300, 350 different papers downloaded and processed that with that kind of work. And it really helps me to understand what is a language model, what is fine-tuning, what is RAG, how does it use, what is a 1.58-bit model, how can I run models on my local Mac and create everything completely independent from the cloud or whatever. It was a really great, and helps me really to understand it. So one of my lovely use cases for AI and ChatGPT. And then, but this was always outside from Microsoft 365 because I couldn't do that in Microsoft 365. Also, I couldn't do it with Microsoft Copilot in the first years. But then in December last year, Microsoft announced that it's the Copilot agent for SharePoint, and he can dig into document libraries, and you can work with documents and documents libraries. And I always remember Jeff Teeper when he told us that 2 billion of documents are uploaded into SharePoint every single day. And I said, well, yes, and I'm a SharePoint guy, I can use SharePoint. And not only for my use case, but for every company, everyone who's using Microsoft 365 has, I think, a tremendous wealth of knowledge in the documents stored in SharePoint in the Microsoft 365 environment. And it would be a great idea if the Copilot agents can help me to dig into these sources and really get knowledge. Maybe I have a project team with a SharePoint library where they have stored the documents from 20 last projects, and now we have project number 21, and we have 3 problems, and we can ask, hey, here are 3 problems with the new project. Can we, Copilot, can you look into the other 20 projects is there a solution or is something similar happening? And this is now possible if as the Copilot can look into SharePoint. So, and now for me, but so I said, okay, use the SharePoint library, put the papers in there and build a reusable agent. And for me, it was very important. And so we can just jump in the demo. For me, it was very important. I want to do it from the end user perspective, not from nerdies or whatever. So just from the end user who has Copilot 365. Now he says, oh, you can do this with SharePoint. You can do this with your agent, and no code, no Copilot Studio. Just what can I do from scratch with only the minimum of tools that I have. And so, yeah, we can create agents. And so I set up my SharePoint library. Here's my agent folder, and there are all the documents. I have stored the PDF files. Here's the URLM file, so in there. So, and then I created an agent. And this is something what everyone can do. Mark the folder just to see it, then click here on the 3 points, and then erstellen Sie ein Agent. It's a German surface, sorry, but here's now create an agent. You click here and then you can start to build an agent. I will jump in a second in my agent, so we won't do that. So I created an agent, and this is my Hackathon paper agent here. So let's start the Hackathon paper agent. And he asked me, this is an agent helping you to understand technical papers from archive.org and other resources by extracting, presenting content in a way even a non-scientific user can understand. Okay, I click on the first command here, and here I said, okay, EuroLLM. Sorry, my keyboard wasn't fast. And I want to know more about the paper of the EuroLLM. And then the process started. SharePoint Copilot agent grabs the PDF and starts to build the output for me, completely understandable for me. I have worked maybe 2 or 3 weeks until this really, from my experience, was fixed. The instructions there that can generated, and you see, this is very good. And now when I'm here and want to get something more, I see, oh, here, URL M1B and instruct, they have 2 models. Okay, let's see if it can help me more. And I ask him, hi, I will to create a chatbot for my European customers. Which of this model should I use, and please explain why? And I send up, and you see I'm talking to my co-pilot right now. It's most exciting feature there. And now I get an answer. I said, okay, there are 2 models. Model 1 is the base model. It's complete, it's for text generation, translation, and comparison. Instruct model is especially for chatbot needs. And here's the recommendation, what I can do. And within seconds, I have from a scientific paper a question in my language, understandable for my problem. So, and how it's done? It's very simple. We click in the agent edit, and so we see how the agent is constructed. Title, logo, description, the sources, and that's the cool stuff of the agent. It's only looks into the resources I give him here. And on the behavior, this is in my opinion, the most important page, and it's put on the last field is that one here, the instructions for the agent. And when you look into here, normally when you create an agent, as be a helpful agent and answer in a quite sophisticated way or whatever. But here I put in a real elaborated, for my purpose, elaborated prompt or instructions. You are a highly qualified technical skills specialist. You specialized in translating scientific paper into precise and comprehensive instruction. Even a layperson with an interest in science can understood, and so on and so on. And here's a whole structure with some additional informations. Yeah, and that's all. And boom, that is the result of it. And so for me, this is perfect. And I have created lots of agents here in my SharePoint libraries for different purposes. And as you can see here, tons of agents working with video transcripts, with special output formats, and it works pretty well. And I know I don't have to skip to dig into Copilot Studio or whatever. This is something every user of Microsoft 365 can do. And so this is not rocket science. And it's very so. And I will show you how I find out that the instruction that we just saw, the instruction is the most important thing to define, because when the agents came up for the first time, Microsoft published this prompt coach, the writing coach, the idea coach, the career coach. And I said, okay, I tried it out. And then I find out, I don't know how I find it out, that there is a GitHub repository from the PNP community, the Copilot Pro and Devs examples. And in the sample file, there is lots of samples about, I'm not really sure what about it, but there was, a learning coach. And here's a writing coach. Let's look into this. And when I open it up, and you see there's an app package. And when you click them, say, there's a declarative, there's a JSON file. And it's talking this and that one. Maybe I should say that the agent itself is based on an agent and a JSON file. And so I looked into the JSON file and said, let's see what's happening. And so go back here and say, the instruction might be a very important stuff. I clicked here and said, here is the knowledge, or not the knowledge, but here are the instructions for the learning coach Microsoft is providing And when I put some kind of instructions in my agent, then it can behave like I want. So this is just looking under the hood. I have really no idea how I can use everything here, but I could figure out my Copilot agents is running here for very with own oh, let me see. And if you dig deeper, you see here in the definition, it's GPT definition called in the JSON file. And this is, when you look under the hood, yeah, it's as what we have in ChatGPT for, I think, 1.5 year GPTs. And this is based on that one. Very cool. So, and that's all. But this is something I think I wouldn't compare with all the cool other contribution to the SharePoint Hackathon, because I think this is phenomenal what you can do with that one. But this is something that everyone who has a Microsoft 365 Copilot subscription can really do now, and can dig into his own documents in the company and find out how you can profit from the knowledge in these documents. And that's it. And so that's my learning journey. And it's very cool that I can now use SharePoint. And with Researcher and what everything, then it gets to the next level.
Very, very cool, Michael. Thank you so much for sharing. And again, congratulations on the SharePoint Hackathon entry. And thank you for submitting along with the rest of the community. Great stuff. Great presentation. Really love it. We'll have to have you back to talk a little bit more deeper on some of the finer things that I know you're passionate about and I could see in the presentation. So great job. Thank you. Really, really well done.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. All right, now we're going to move into our next SharePoint Hackathon entry, and that was the benefits agent with Karen, and she's going to be joined by Bailey, her coworker. So Karen, feel free to take on over the screen, and there we go. Got it loaded. Take it away.
All right. So hi, everyone. I'm Karen Dredske, and I'm a senior solution architect at NRI. I do a lot of speaking on the East Coast at the community events here that are held. And let's see, let me get into my presentation like I need to. When I saw the ad for the SharePoint Hackathon, I got really excited. I do mostly no code or low code solutions in SharePoint, even though I've been working in it since 2003. And so I contacted some of my other low code, no code SharePoint folks on our team and said, hey, let's do something. And they agreed. And so here you can see our entire team of folks who work together to come up with this, because we're all really busy doing consulting and we don't have a lot of time. So we all pitched in and put together to come up with the idea and everything. And I am joined here by Bailey. I'm going to let Bailey introduce herself and the rest of the team.
So my name is Bailey Hansen. I'm a business analyst, also with NRI. It's a joy to work with Karen and everybody on the project. Our other two members who weren't able to come today are Libby Fissette, our Director of Innovation, and Cassandra Brill, Senior Business Architect. So we put together our ideas, and we had a resource that was very that existed already that was pretty beneficial, which was a demo portal. So again, as consultants, we like to be able to show the art of the possible to folks. So we have an existing space where we throw nice stuff out so that we can demo it and also to do testing and pieces. So with benefits, one of the pieces, Karen did all the technical work with the agent and did a great job. I dug in to make sure that our data was accurate, because as we know, garbage in, garbage out. And my personal pet peeve, if you never post about your gym benefits on your website, on your intranet, no one will ever be able to find it. So did a little bit of work making sure we actually had 2025 documents out on that benefit space. But I think the agent, especially like for our clients or for whoever, wow, talk about a way to surface that and get to the answer that, you dig around for 20 minutes to find something, the agent can find it so much faster. So Karen, I'll let you take her away.
Okay, so I didn't want to have to worry about the demo guide, so I set this all up as a video. And you can see that if you have a Copilot license on this site, you're able to go in and use the agent, and we have the benefits agent there. And you can ask questions and everything. And Michael did a great job of showing how you create an agent. So we're just going to take and go in here and edit our agent and show you what we did. So we gave it its name. We didn't change the logo, which was default from the site. We put in a description for it. And our source was, as Bailey said, it was the benefits site, the entire site. So it was really easy. We could have done like Michael did and gone into libraries and folders, but we didn't. And we were a little bit simpler with what we had. We had our welcome message. We created some starter prompts and then gave our agent some basic instructions on what we wanted it to do. So then we went over and tried it out. And put in the first one that we had, which was to find a holiday schedule, and it did. We waited to see what it would give us back and looked, and sure enough, it brought back an accurate holiday schedule from our site. We actually did a few more tests on it to make sure that it was bringing back the information we expected it to bring back, and it did. And we did see the copy link for Teams. So he said, hey, this would be really cool if we could use it in Microsoft Teams. So we copied the link. And after doing that, went and tested that out with Bob the Builder and Milton. And so Bob added it to a conversation that a chat he was having with Milton. And you can see that the benefits agent was added to Teams. And then it actually introduced itself in the chat. And Milton saw it and said, hey, what's the holiday schedule? And nothing happened. And so Bob's like, oh, we have to mention the agent. And when that was done, then it came back right away. Well, Milton said, well, let me try that again, and did it, but asked when is open enrollment and got, something went wrong. So you're like, that's interesting. So then Bob tried it again and it worked. So we realized that if you don't have a Copilot agent, or if you don't have a Copilot license, that you're not going to be able to use the agent, even if it's in a Teams chat or conversation in a team. But we thought that was really cool, though, that someone who does have a license could, because not everyone in our organization has a Copilot license. And most of the organizations we work with, there are very few of them where they roll it out to everyone all at one time. It's usually a small group, and then it gets expanded based on need. So it was pretty simple, very straightforward. And I'll let Bailey talk about what we learned from this.
So what we learned, definitely that this is very user-friendly to create. Again, we were a little short on time, so we had to pull together what we could and what sounded interesting on the speed we had. I do think it's also interesting that while only the Copilot license holder can use that, it can be included for folks who don't have licensing. So one person with that license can facilitate some of those questions and conversations, which is a lot better than not having that capability at all. That's very cool. And it is, like I said, it is possible to have the license users assist unlicensed in that Teams chat and in that space. So again, always great to see a tool that can be leveraged for folks who don't have direct access and can streamline that. So this is a lot of fun. Definitely going to play around with it, and we're excited to keep using it and keep building on it.
All right, that's it. Ours is really short.
Awesome.
Thanks, everybody.
Bailey, Karen, thank you so much for sharing that with the community. I put the link to both Karen and Bailey's and Michael's hackathon entry, so everybody can take a look at that. Chris, feel free to take over the screen share as I'm setting you up. But thank you, Karen, Bailey, and Michael. Really great. Again, brand new presenters to the call, everybody. So we want to make sure that we really show them our appreciation and love. Love it, love it, love it. And we'll have to have you all back soon to talk even more and lots more SharePoint agent goodness. I know Vesta and I are working on some use cases and some fun demos for near the end of the summer. So be on the lookout for those. It's gonna be a lot of really cool stuff. All right. Well, without further ado, we've got Mr. Chris Kent, who is going to talk about some Coolio list formatting tips and tricks. Surely it's going to include some sort of horses. Chris, wow us. Wowee us.
Wowee. All right, everybody. I'm assuming you can see my screen now.
I can.
Very exciting. Wow, we indeed. Okay, well let's talk about some exciting things. So let's head on over to let's click on this thing. All right, there we go. All right, so let's head on over to this site. This is just a formatting site where I like to experiment with things because it doesn't matter what I put on here. Woo, exciting. So I've got a document library here called Stupid Junk. And I've got some documents that I put in here, and I wanted to talk to you about what's being called, quote unquote, modern approvals, right? So let's take a look at how we turn that on and what we can do with it formatting wise. Woo-hoo. All right. So we go up here to our automate, and we have configure approvals, and we get this new thing here. We enable approvals. Now I want to point out real quick that this is not what we had before, which was over here in Power Automate, configure flows now, right? And got this request sign off and content approval. That's not even related. These are totally separate. So if you're using these and you want to use these, you got to get rid of these to use these. All right. Okay, there you go. Exciting. This is also not custom approvals. This is just the new approvals things. So we're just going to take a look at that. All right. There we go. That's the baseline. Let's configure them. We're going to enable the approvals. Ooh, apply. All right, so now we turn that on, and we get this approval status column, and it says not submitted. So that's exciting. Let's submit some, right? So let's say our monthly college budget, right? We're going to submit that, and so we get this nice little thing here. So you'll notice that we get this button. It opens up this request approval dialog. Ooh, right? And I can say that I'm going to have myself approve it because that always makes sense, but also because I'm almost the only one in the tenant. Right, I can add other people here. So let's actually look at our first fun, exciting mistake here. So if I add Tiny Horse Jr. and let's add Dan Gump, there we go. Now I've got some options here, right? I can require responses in the assigned order. So that's important if I want them to go one after another, right? I can also say everybody has to agree. Nah, right? So get rid of that. I'm just saying the first to respond, that will be there, and I can give them a little more details, right? This is very special to me. There we go. And we'll submit that. And now what I wanted to mention as our first mistake or error is, this is an edge case you probably don't have. If a user does not have a mailbox, like Tiny Horse Jr. in this case, you're not going to get an error there, but it will not assign them. They will just not be there. So just keep that in mind. A mailbox is required in order to do the approvals. All right, there we go. So now I've got a requested here. If I click on that, I can see my approval request details, and I can see, it's pending responses from these people who see Tiny Horse Jr. is gone. There's that mistake there. Very exciting, but I can approve it right here, or I can reject it, or I can even cancel it. Woo! Also, though, it came in here, and let's see. Well, let's expand that. It's always a good idea. Well, where's my team? Let's just go over to Teams. We'll just do it directly. I don't have my notification on, probably because I switched over, but let's go to approvals. You'll notice also there's not a, unlike every other Teams app, there is not a refresh button in the approvals app. Why, I do not know, but we'll just leave it and come back to it to get it to reload. Ooh, we can watch this. This is exciting. All right, but the idea here is there's an approval center inside Teams, and this will aggregate your approvals that you have received or sent all across your tenant. And it sometimes loads, and that is exciting when it does. So yeah, we'll just let that go. We'll come back to that, and we'll hope that that happens later. In the meantime, we'll switch back over here. Okay, and let's take a look at what we got here. So now we have this. We requested one here. Let's go ahead and approve it. All right, just so we can see what that looks like. Approve it here. This is a terrible budget. Shame upon thee. Right, there we go. Perfect. We're going to reject that. There we go. Now we've got a rejected one. Let's just go ahead and make a couple of these other ones here. Let's submit this over for approval. Perfect. And we'll get that one pending, and we'll get one approved here. Let's say also to me so that I can approve it. I'll submit that. And we get these lovely notifications here. Exciting. All right, I'm going to close those. Woo! All right, so now let's reject this one. Right? Or I think we already rejected it. I love your egg. You did good. Very good. Approved. There you go. The only idea is now we just see all the different statuses. They look lovely here. Let's just see how that Teams is doing at every level. It did! Wow. Okay. So these are all sorts of approvals that are coming through, right? Again, they are aggregated across things, just like before. Now, I've already requested this one, so it's a little awkward because it's been rejected, right? But now you can see you can do the same thing here. The main difference here, once it's been processed, approved, or rejected, you get this extra thing, which is save as PDF. Ooh, let's try it. Surely it's fine, right? There we go. It printed it as a PDF for me, so that's very helpful. So if you've got executive assistants that are all doing this, or you just really, really love to do this and you want to print those, now you can and put them all over your wall. That's exciting. Okay. But if we've got one, like say that is in the middle of being approved, right? We don't get we get some other options here, right? We get the reject and approve. We also get our cancel. And then we have two other ones you don't see in SharePoint, right? You can reassign it. You can actually say, I'm not doing this. This isn't for me, right? Or I can come over here and I can say follow up, which, don't do this. This is a silly one. All this does is send a notification that someone has asked for follow up on this, right? You've got other ways to communicate. Don't do that. Anyway, that's just my advice on that. Okay, perfect. All right, let's go back here. We're not even going to try and load anything else in there. All right, let's come over here. So now what do we do, right? So we've got these exciting things. Let's point out a couple of things, right? If you remove this later, right? So if you go up here and you say configure approvals and turn this off, it'll kind of tell you here. But just so you're aware, it does not actually remove anything other than the column from all of your views here. But all of the data is still there. All in-flight approvals are still happening and so on. And so far, I've seen that it is difficult to turn back on. So good luck with that. Okay. And also then the in-flight approvals. So if you've got an approval that's happening already, like say this one that has been requested, I happen to do it on PDF, so that was silly. But if you open these up now, it will open them in read only by default rather than edit. And then if you choose to edit them and they're in flight, it will warn you that editing them will cancel the in-flight approval. Okay, and that will notify people, and that's exciting. And then the other thing to note is that just adding someone to the approver field does not grant them any kind of permissions to your list. So make sure you're not just picking random people, or they will then come back to you and say, "What the heck, man?" Like that, in that exact voice. And then also, if you're doing this, you can do this on lists or libraries. If you're on list, it will disable the listing. So that's the offline mode. So if you are relying on that, this modern approval stuff will kill it. Okay. All right. So that's great. We haven't actually done any formatting though. So let's talk about some formatting. So you may have noticed that this looks suspiciously like formatting. Well, guess what? Microsoft did us a super solid here, and they actually did make this formatting. Rather than kind of the standard, which is to make their own special button that we can't do anything with, they made a format. And I am very grateful for that, right? So now we've got a format here, which we can edit, and that's exciting. And let's go ahead and take a look at doing that in another window. Apparently I can't click anymore. That's fine. Who needs to click? Okay, so let's go over here where I've got a another desktop. Well, we'll just switch to the desktop manually. There we go. Okay. So now I've just copied that format out here. I've got my stupid junk down here. I'm going to make this a little bit easier, right? So if you can't see, I'm typing env for environment equals web view with a capital W and a capital V. And when I do that, it gets rid of that extra junk at the top, which allows me to focus a little bit when I'm trying to do this split screen. Okay. So now we can see that. And I'm going to column settings. I'm going to format this column just like we were doing before. And we will wait for that to load. Oh, precious baby, you can do it. It did it. All right, good. So we come down here and let's scroll down a little bit. So I've got SP Formatter, which I mentioned before. I've got several videos on how to set all this up. But basically, it's an extension inside Chrome or Edge, which I've got turned on here. Right, you can see I've got it enabled. And then when I turn it on, I've got it enabled here. And then over in VS Code up here, I also have the SP Formatter extension installed, which means that I can do things like, well, let's create a new file, and we'll just copy everything that's in the default. Over copy, and we're going to paste that here. And let's save that just so we've got a working copy. Modern approvals, we'll call it magical. Perfect. Okay, so now we've got one here. and I can right click and I can say start a new session. All right, and now we can see the S formatter is listening, and we've got one here, and so let's see if that actually works. All right, so if we come down here, let's just change something just to see if it works here. Background color is red. We have to make sure it works. Comma, we are not hooked up. Okay, so let's try turn that on and off again. There it is. Okay, so sometimes you got to toggle the switch. But now you can see, using this exciting thing here, we get auto updates automatically, and we get the power of VS Code here. And because I am using the JSONify extension, you'll notice that I am getting syntax highlighting. I even get some hints if I hover over things, right? See current field value and so on. And if I get different expressions, I can get all sorts of hints about what is required there, and I can get some auto completion. Wowee! Right? So let's actually do something though. First thing we're gonna do is get rid of that horrible blue. Why did I do that? There we go. Bye. Okay, so now we got rid of that. And we come down here and we'll see one of our first trademark Microsoft moves, which is a mix of sometimes they'll do expression syntax, and then sometimes they do this old abstract syntax tree, AST style, which is when you see this operator, operand, nested craziness here. And it's fine. Honestly, these work pretty well for string building, right? Because it makes it just easy to have all the strings, but otherwise I pretty much hate them. So let's go ahead and fix that. We're going to see if Copilot can help us out here. I'm just going to make it that so we can not have any errors. So class equals, and if I type in equals, it guessed it. And it seems to have done a pretty good job. We will double check because we never trust Copilot. There we go. We're going to save that. I'm going to make sure we word wrap that so we can see it a little easier. Right. So now we can see it actually looked at what was going on here and guessed it pretty well. So again, we'll double check to make sure all the values match up here. We can just kind of collapse things to see all that. All right. And we can see that those things, all those kind of classes came over. So that looks good. All right. So now we can kill this thing. Bye. Get out of here. All right. So now we haven't actually changed anything. Get rid of that comma. Okay. And then we come up here. And now we can actually change some of these classes. So let's do that, shall we? All right, let's make these look a little better because boring, right? I don't like those. So the first thing we can see is this stuff right here. So we see the value is looking at is 0, 1, 2, and so on. And so we've got the 0, we've got the tertiary art, and we've got the light gray. That's all fine, right? We'll keep it that as for the not submitted, right? But then for 1, which is our requested, right? We don't like this purple junk. Get out of here, you purple junk, right? Instead, we're going to make that be on the theme. So we're going to say theme primary. And then once we get that, okay. And then we've got theme primary, so you can see that starts to show up there. And then, of course, we want to come in here to the other one, which is our hover, and we'll just say theme light, maybe? That sounds good. Right, so then we go over here, we hover over. Ooh, very exciting. And then we'll change our font. All right, you get the idea. We're just editing this stuff, and we get to see this stuff down here. And we can make it look exactly the way we want. And so just very quickly, I'm going to say BG dark red. Very exciting. And we'll say white font as well. And then we're going to say over here for this guy, we're going to say BG dark blue, because I don't want to look like Christmas. Oh, that's the hover. That's fine. BG blue, and we'll say this one here. And again, all of these are listed. Every single one of these classes is listed on our list formatting site. So you don't have to have just memorize these. No worries. You can see what they are, what are available to you. There we go. And then we'll change this last font to white. But you get the idea here is we are editing this. Wow. Okay. So that looks great. We can edit a few more things. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab one I'd already done so we can move a little quicker. All right. So I'm just going to grab that. I'll just paste it in here so we can see it applied automatically. Woo. And so what I've done is I've added an icon here, right? And I've just mapped that over. Which you can see right here. So it's just one more expression. We can see, each one is looking at those individual values and just saying what the thing should be. So there we go. That's exciting. So now we have that. We can hit save down here, and we've got a view. All right, so now we have this beautiful thing, and we can start using it somewhere. So let's put it in an actual use case here. So let's grab our horse approvals, just like we had done, and let's see if we can jump over to our other desktop right here. And of course, this has been applied. We just haven't refreshed. Good. If we have it over here, I've got this other document library called the Mini Huge Documents of Death on our Warrior Horses site. All right. And if we take a look I have enabled that approval column here as well, right, along with a bunch of other things. And that's cool, but again, it's that boring one. So I'm just going to take what we just did, because we can just cut and paste that one that we just did. Well, normally you can. I'm losing the ability to edit. Let's try that one more time. Column settings, format this column. Whoop, 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 loading. Oh, ooh. Does everyone enjoy my singing? It's beautiful. The good news is on YouTube, you could actually loop that section. Okay, great. Here we go. I still have very limited editing, but there we go. There we go. So the idea is now I've got that, right? That looks nice. And we looked at Teams before, and that Teams kind of view, while it's okay, I mean, actually it's very helpful for me, right? Because this is everything across my entire tenant that I have received or that I have sent. It's not great if I want to just look at, hey, what's the approval for this library? All right, so let's take a look at what we can do there. So we're going to add a new view, and we'll make a gallery view, or a tiles view, as it might be called. We're going to call this approvals. All right, there we go. We're going to create that. And did we do it? Did we? Yeah, we did it. Okay, great. So, I mean, that's all right, right? We can see a few things. We're in that folder. Now we can start to see the preview of those stuff. That's exciting, right? But let's go a little further right here, and we can say format our current view. And then we can start to see a document. Well, first, actually, let's edit this a little bit. So let's come up here to edit our current view. So we're going to go old school view editor. Woo! All right, so we come in here to our old school view editor, and we're going to just change a couple of things, right? So we've got some additional columns we want to add. Which we'll come back to. We'll do that in the card designer, but let's do it here. So let's sort by, not sort by, let's group by. So only show things when the approval status is greater than 0, right? So basically anything that's been submitted. So I want approvals, I want rejected, I want pending, I want all of that, right? Because 0 is our unsubmitted. So we just say anything greater than that, show us that. And then we're going to come way down here. And then we're going to actually group by that approval status as well. So that makes it a little easier to see what's what. And then last thing we're going to do is we're going to come down to folders. And we're going to say show all items without folders. Because we've got a ton of nested folders and stuff. We're trying to get an all-up view. We don't want those folders in the way. All right. We hit OK. Ooh. So now we start to see these exciting things show up. All right. Now let's change those around so we can see what we have here. And we go to our format the current view. And I swear I'm almost done. All right. Here we go. Let's just take out all these extra columns that we don't really care about right now, right? And we can add more columns as well, right? Actually, we should edit that in the other section when I was in there. Whoopsie. So let's edit our current view and let's add those in. So the nice thing about the approvals is it adds some additional columns, right? There's approval creator, approvers, and responses. All right, so let's come down to responses. There we go. Let's add those columns in. Well, now we can't scroll no more. There we go. Ah! All right. There we go. So now we've got some additional columns and so on. All right. So now if we go to edit or format that current view, we can see some stuff here. And I'm going to just show you a quick trick. You'll notice that approval status does not look like we had before. So we're going to swap that out. Here we go. And we're going to edit that card, right? So now it's at our approval creator, our approvers, and our responses. There we go. So now we can see all of those things. We can even show our pretty little faces. Ooh, pretty faces. All right, so that looks exciting. Let's save. And then if we switch to advanced mode, we can see all the things it just generated for us, right? And we can hit Control F. And I'm going to look for approval status. There it is. And I don't want to show approval status anymore, right? So this is showing the column name, so I know the one underneath it is the actual value. And I'm just going to say, nah, we don't need that. All right. In fact, I don't need this other one either. Like, we'll get rid of this one. All of this junk. So, ah! Oh, no. All right. Let's kill that guy. All right. So we just want to kill all of this. So what we're going to do is instead, we're just going to say, column formatter reference, and then we can reference our column, which is underscore approval status. There we go. If we preview that, it does not work, which is exciting. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab the JSON that we already did, and I will tell you why it worked. Boom. Let's preview that. All right. Well, either way, the idea here is we can change it here so those work. I will share that out. Let's actually try and refresh. I've got some issues going on with my library. There it is. Okay, I've just got issues refreshing with the library right now. But this is now showing. The other thing I didn't just show you, because for time, is I removed the first child, which puts a giant click handle over the whole thing so that I couldn't use it. But now I have full access to use these just as expected. Okay, all right. So let's wrap up. I know I'm out of time here, so let's grab one last slide for the video here. There you go. So this is just what those columns are. Those are the internal names, and then those are the individual values of the approval status. If you want to use those in formatting, you can create all sorts of fun stuff, and all these things work that way. And then, of course, here is a link to the documentation on modern approvals and also the extensions that I showed off today. And, of course, our repo with all the samples, and that's it. Wowee!
Wow! Yay! Thank you, Chris. Awesome, awesome, awesome job. Always awesome to see all the amazing stuff that you can do and continue to do, everybody, with list formatting. Another great way to get involved in the community. So thank you, Michael. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Bailey, for joining us as well. And, of course, Chris. We appreciate all of our community presenters. Y'all did amazing today. Love, love, love the passion. Would not, again, be possible to share all this without that passion and devotion to the community. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, if you'd like to stay up to date and get involved with other members of the community, just a reminder, we have our Discord server. This is a great kind of one-stop shop, if you will. One server, many channels across all the different topics that we help run and maintain in the community. So great way to collaborate, communicate, and we're trying to get more people involved there as well to help out. So if you want to, reach out and let us know. We would also love to get some feedback from you. Is everything going well? Are there areas you'd like to see improvement? We're open to improving any and all areas that will make these more enjoyable and beneficial for you. So please just let us know. Please just keep it positive, because we do want to make sure that we're improving any and all areas of the experience and the community calls. The recording will be available in 24 hours or less on the Microsoft Community Learning YouTube channel. You can subscribe and like and smash that button today at aka.ms/community/YouTube. We'll blast it out on all of the socials, Twitter/X, Blue Sky, and LinkedIn. Our next Microsoft 365 and Power Platform bi-weekly call is June 5th in 2 weeks. Same bad time, same bad channel, and Viva Connection SharePoint Framework next week. We'll be back with more amazing demos and presenters from the community. So thank you all again. Have a wonderful rest of your week, a wonderful long weekend for those in the States, and we look forward to seeing you on the future calls. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye. Wowee! Wowee! Wowee.